Hey, welcome back to another Fetta Facts. It's all facts, no opinions. I'm going to give you something about inflation, what you can do about it that people aren't talking about right now. We're complaining about it. We've been whining about it for a couple of years. We're optimistic now. But here's the thing that you're missing on the topic of inflation. Stay tuned. All right, Jerry Fetta here, CEO of Philanthro Wealth, where we're helping good people build wealth to make the world a better place. Right? It's about creating a network, a world of wealthy philanthropists who restore life essentials, who promote human welfare. And I want to talk to you about inflation, right? Inflation. So there's two ways to look at inflation. And if you ask most people, they're going to tell you, okay, well, inflation is when things get more expensive, right? And from like a day-to-day feel, sure, inflation is things got more expensive. I could see that. I used to pay, I was talking to my son about muscle cars because we're getting into muscle cars, right? Looking at Challengers and Chargers and all these classics on the road. And I saw this thing and this guy was like, yeah, I used to be able to buy a Barracuda car for $1,500. And now it's like, way, way more than that. And so, yeah, you could say that's inflation. Or I used to buy a house for 30 grand and now it's 300, right? And even 300 happens to be on the cheap end now. Okay, great. That's inflation. Things got more expensive. But if you look at what's actually happening behind it, it's the increase of the money supply. Okay, when we lower interest rates, inflation happens. When we print more money through what's called quantitative easing, where the government basically creates currency and puts it into the economy in order to ease things because we're in an economic downturn that they caused in the first place, that causes inflation, right? And so the problem lies in the fact that if we look at inflation as things got more expensive, it doesn't tell the full story. Okay. Now, the other thing is when we do get into the real reason inflation is happening, it doesn't give the full solution, right? So I'm going to whiteboard this out to show you what I mean, because I see this trap happening quite a bit. So we've got over here, things got expensive. Okay. We have over here, money supply increased. All right. So if I'm on the things got expensive side of the house, I'm like, okay, things got more expensive and I don't really know what's happening, right? And if I don't know what's happening, I can't really be at cause over it. So I'm just like, okay, stuff gets more expensive, times are hard. Let's vote for a different politician and hope for the best, right? That's pretty much what happens in that crowd. Now you get into, well, the money supply increase. These are the people that are students of Austrian economics and they know, Austrian economics, there's a certain amount of value on the planet and we need to expand the value. We can't just print money. And when we print the money, it creates the inflation. When we lower the interest rates, it creates inflation. Next, I don't want to interrupt you too long. I just want to give you a free offer for my book, The Blueprint to Financial Freedom. If you go to jerryfetta.com/B2F promo, you can get the book now. I'm going to let you get back to the video. Right? Think about it. If you have a swimming pool and you add a bunch of water to the swimming pool, it's going to rise. Right? If you put a bunch of people in the swimming pool, the water's going to rise even if there's not more water. It just appears like there's more water because you're displacing what's in there. Right? Inflation, you're adding actually more water. Okay, now this would be a problem if you didn't keep the ratio of chlorine in with the water. Let's say chlorine is the value, water is the money. Okay, so we print currency, we dump water into the pool, but the chlorine doesn't stay up with it. And all of a sudden we've got this nasty, dirty, urine-filled, sweat-filled water because the chlorine is not in there doing its job. So the pool becomes less valuable because of the fact that it's not clean anymore. In an economy, when you focus on increasing money supply, same thing, you're adding currency, but you're not adding value. So what happens? Things get more expensive. Why? Because you've got the same amount of goods that have to absorb more currency, just like you've got the same amount of chlorine that has to absorb into the greater amount of water. You reduce the buying power of the currency, you reduce the potency, the cleanliness of the water, right? So when we get into this money supply increasing thing, we get into like, oh, the government and the Treasury and the Federal Reserve Bank, and it makes you a victim. I know so many people who are aware, oh, the creature from Jekyll Island and this and that. I used to be one of them. And you end up being this like, oh, there's nothing we can do about it. And the evil bad guys are just against us in the world and everything's controlled. So, we're just completely victims in effect here. Let me just go live in my doomsday prepper cage in the backyard that's buried under the ground and wait things out. Like that's the extreme of that, right? And I'm not saying everyone is that way, but I'm saying it. You will meet a lot of people who know about this and are not doing jack about it, right? I want you to think about, when is the last time you heard a wealthy person complain about inflation for themselves, right? Where they're like, oh man, times are so tough. Inflation is just kicking my ass. You don't ever hear that. That's not a conversation. You will never hear Warren Buffett say he's personally struggling with inflation. You will never hear Elon Musk say he is personally struggling with inflation, right? This is a little guy problem. This is a middle class problem, right? So here's the thing. Yes, we increase the currency supply and prices go up because of that. But it's your responsibility to increase your income at a rate that's greater than inflation. See, the real reason people get impacted by inflation is not because of the prices. It's the fact that they're not increasing their incomes, right? Like, so you have prices here going up, and this is your price of goods. Your income should follow it. And if your income follows it, you don't have an inflation problem. Right? Think about it. If it's like, oh man, a gallon of milk used to cost $2, it doubled or it tripled. That's only a problem if my income didn't also double and triple, right? So if your income is staying down here, then yeah, you're going to experience inflation. And here's how you combat that, because now we're going to get into like this, oh, well, some people are more advantaged socioeconomic status and high income versus low income and the haves versus the have-nots and all of the age-old conversations everyone has but never solves, right? If the money supply increased, there is more money to be gotten. If you're not getting it, it's because you don't know how. Or you do know how and you don't work hard enough to do it. There's more money in the economy, right? If you're in a boat and the boat's leaking and it's taking on water, what would you do to save the boat? You would pull the water from the boat out. You'd plug the leaks up, right? So you would do the simple thing. And so we go back to the simple thing, which is the first answer of like, oh, inflation, the price has increased, right? The simple answer is things got more expensive. Go make more money. Go make more money. And this is why I teach, financial independence, because it's like running on a treadmill where incrementally every year, the speed is going to increase. And we already know it's going to increase. So it's like, being surprised about Christmas every year. Like, all right, we had it last year. Like, you were surprised then. Each of the last 5 years we had Christmas. Each of the last 5 years you were surprised about Christmas. When are you going to figure out Christmas is coming? It's imminent. It's going to happen December 25th. Inflation is no different. Guys, we have been bitching and moaning about inflation for decades in this country. We know it's going to be there. Why are we doing nothing about it? A, we don't know what to do, or B, we do know what to do, but we're too lazy to do it. Only two reasons. So if you don't know what to do, I'm going to solve that for you right now. Number one, increase your income. Increase your income. And if you increase your income, you can only do that in one of two ways. You can do that through active income, working more hours, making more sales, expanding your business, starting a side hustle, right? You're going to trade time and energy for money, right? And that's fine if it's something you enjoy doing. This whole disdain about trading time for money, yeah, I would get that if it was like something I didn't like doing, like drug dealing. Yeah, then I wouldn't want to trade my time for money because drug dealing isn't worth the money. Right? But if it's like helping people or something that's aligned with my purpose, and I'm like, wait, I get to help people and you're going to pay me? I've got no problem trading my time for money then. Hey, you want to see a magic trick? Get a copy of my book, Blueprint to Financial Freedom. I know it's in front of my chest and my face because I want you focusing on the book and not me for a moment before you go back to focusing on me and the content. Right? If you're doing your purpose, good. If you're not doing your purpose, yeah, I get it. And then it's more your own thing of why do you Why do you prostitute yourself out and give up your values just for money when something doesn't align for your purpose? It's not the job's fault. It's not the boss's fault. It's not the economy's fault. If you're doing that, you're choosing to forsake the things that matter to you for pieces of paper. That is you, not them. You can change that right now. It doesn't even involve financial independence and wealth building. Quit whatever you don't like doing. Go do something you do like doing that pays you. Boom, problem solved. Right? Now, active income is one way to go about it. And that is the way most people should go about it. The other way to go about it is passive income sources. This is a long range building, right? So here's what most people are doing. Like inflation's happening and you guys have your money sitting in the bank. You got your money sitting in the bank, protecting it. Like, oh, what if something happens to it? And something is happening to it. It's literally on fire and it's burning right now. It's got rot termites in it and it's eating the value away. You're going to go and check on it and you're going to see, I have 300,000, but you're going to forget, well, when you first had the 300,000, it bought 300,000 worth of stuff. Now it only buys 150. The very thing you're afraid of having happen to your money, you guarantee it by not putting that money to work. So you need to invest it in passive income producing assets. Why? Because the passive income increases the active income and you're outpacing inflation with that. Okay. The other thing you can do, save a higher percentage of the income you make so you can fund more of those passive income producing investments. Right? Those are the ways you beat inflation, not by getting riskier investments. Some people are like, oh, if I get higher returns on my investments, that beats inflation. No. That's not what you do. You don't risk the thing you're trying to protect it from the thing you're trying to protect it from. Right? That's like saying I have a baby. I'm afraid that in Albuquerque, there's coyotes in the backyard and they might eat the baby. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the baby in some knight's armor so that he can go kill those coyotes so that they don't attack him. No, that's insanity. That's high risk. I've got cash that I'm afraid of losing. So I'm going to put it into investments that have a high chance of losing. Do you see the illogic there? That makes zero sense. Let's take a moment, pause this really quick to appreciate the level of stupidity that is. Go ahead, take your moment. Good. We had the moment. That's a stupid idea. So what's not risky? Working more. What's not risky? Passive income. On things that actually have real value. I'm not talking about speculation and this and that. If you go buy a house and someone pays you to live in the house, sure, there's risk. There's risk with everything, but that's not like you're buying, invisible crypto tokens and trying to earn something on that, or putting money in the stock market with companies that aren't profitable and thinking you're going to make money there. I think that's way more risky, right? So how do you beat inflation? Increase your income at a rate higher than inflation. So if inflation was 6%, your income should have went up by 6% or more. And if it did, you don't have an inflation problem. Okay. Now on the back end of this, let's have this discussion really quick before we wrap up. On the back end of this, if you are wealthy already, when inflation happens, it actually benefits you. This is why you don't hear the wealthy complaining about inflation. Inflation happens on assets and on consumer goods. So if I own real estate, if I own gold, if I own, whatever it is that has value and equity, inflation happens on the back end of that, my net worth goes up. So if you go study the periods of inflation in the United States, you will see the wealthy get wealthier, right? You don't get there if you're not increasing your income to buy the assets in the first place. You don't get there if not increasing your savings rate to buy those assets in the first place. You don't get there if you're leaving your money in the bank and not putting it to work so that it can help you. Because if you don't ever put your money to work, when inflation happens, the treadmill goes faster and you're the one that has to run. It's not going to be a big deal for the first 2 or 3 times, but after 30, 40 times of that each year, you're going to be like, yeah, this is hard to keep up with. Why? Because you're the one doing all the running. So if you invest for things that produce residual income, passive income, and you continue this triangle of wealth that I teach about, you're going to be not the only one running. You'll have some help. Okay. So that's all I got for you today on inflation. I hope that was valuable. Like, share, subscribe. This has been Fetta Facts. I'll see you next time.
Hey, this is Jerry Fetta here. I want to thank you for watching my video, watching my content. I hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to learn more about the blueprint to financial freedom and how you can achieve passive income that exceeds your savings, your expenses, your taxes, your generosity, and build wealth like the top 1%, I want to encourage you, grab a copy of my book, The Blueprint to Financial Freedom. You can go to jerryfetta.com/B2F promo, or you can click the link in the description of the video here. The copy is free. You cover your shipping. We'll send the book out to you, and we'll send you an email with a bunch of great bonus material also for free. Get the book, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you on my next content.